Hey guys, and welcome to Film Artsy, your number one source for all things films and movies. My name is Elijah, and over the years, we've really have gotten to fall in love with Robert Downey Jr.'s acting performance in the MCU. And now that he has officially departed the MCU in Avengers Endgame, we still have a decent list of movies featuring Robert Downey Jr. that we can look forward to in the future that we're pretty excited about. So today we thought it'd be really interesting to take a look at everything that Robert Downey Jr. is planning on appearing in the future that has been announced so far. That being said, let's go ahead and jump into this.
Agent Romanoff, you miss me?
Oh yeah, Charles, we got ourselves an X-Men fan.
Captain.
Your Highness.
Captain, big fan, Spider-Man. Hey everyone.
Now, if you guys remember back to when he originally started in the MCU way back in 2008, even though he continued to come back for many movies like Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, Avengers, all those other movies, Civil War and stuff, periodically throughout the movie releases, he would actually try to squeeze in one or two extra movies that weren't in the MCU. It was really interesting because it gave us some comedy movies at some times and other great performances that we never expected to see, like we saw him in The Judge or when he did the Sherlock Holmes movies. So it's going to be really interesting because as of 2016 and kind of the final phase of the MCU, he was really just dedicated to being in the MCU. Besides just doing Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame, he also appeared in Captain America: Civil War as a major character, and he had a pretty small appearance in Spider-Man: Homecoming, which kind of did take up more time. While he didn't have a whole lot of a role in the actual movie, he did go on the full press tour promoting that movie, and he typically goes on any press tour for the movies that he's in. So he actually, during the whole time of Phase 3, didn't have any time to work on projects outside of the MCU. So it's no surprise that he's excited to try to do things differently and take on different character roles. This first movie that he is set to appear in is really exciting because it's not one I would have ever expected or thought that I needed until it was officially announced. And we've talked about this movie before because of another actor that's going to be in it. But the Voyage of Dr. Doolittle, which is kind of crazy to think that they're making a Dr. Doolittle movie without Eddie Murphy, especially all these years later, because they've done it before with using a different character to be Dr. Doolittle. So weird story, but they're kind of doing a fresh reboot on this series. And of all the people to take on this role, Robert Downey Jr. honestly is an actor I'm really excited to see, because this character, the type of character he plays in the movies, can be really comedic at times. And it's going to be really fun to see this type of actor take on a comedic role in the sense that this movie will be. And I'm just so excited to see how this will play out, just because we haven't really seen Robert Downey Jr. embrace anything like this ever in his career. It's a unique concept, and on top of that, Tom Holland, who, if you guys remember, is the current Spider-Man. He was in Far From Home and Homecoming. He actually is set to play as a dog in this film, which is something we didn't really expect to ever see. So this is going to be a really weird team up where Robert Downey Jr. is Dr. Doolittle and Tom Holland is a dog, and Robert Downey Jr. can talk to animals. So this will be a very fun movie. And then all of a sudden, when you think that he's doing one thing, he pivots to a completely different genre in a way that we never fully expected either. And interestingly enough, The Voyage of Dr. Doolittle is set to release in 2020, which means this movie's already shot, it's in post-production, and we're going to be seeing trailers for it relatively soon and a full release in pretty much just a year. That's super exciting, and I'm really curious to see how this one turns out. But just when you think you can nail what Robert Downey Jr. is up to and what type of movies he's going to take on, he honestly pivots and throws something else anew, and he's right now set to appear in another movie called All-Star Weekend, and there's not a whole lot of information about this movie whatsoever. There isn't even a set release date or anything else other than that he's officially signed on for this. I believe that he was signed on last in 2017 to this project, so he probably knew he had to wait it out until Infinity War and Endgame wrapped before shooting could start for this. But apparently it's going to be a movie written and directed by Jamie Foxx, and it's going to star Robert Downey Jr. and Gerard Butler. And all we know is that it's two buddies who form a rivalry over their favorite American basketball player. There's not a lot of information there. It seems like it could be another comedy movie, and I'm so down to see Robert Downey Jr. in comedy movies. He's only done a couple ever. One of the more recent ones he did was Due Date all the way back in 2010, so he's due to make some more, and I think that just his character, whether it's a more serious character or a more comedic character, could work either way, so it'll be fun to see what they end up doing with this one. Then, this was one that a lot of people have speculated would happen for a very long time, but Sherlock Holmes 3, which, if you guys didn't know, he played Sherlock Holmes back in 2009 and 2011 in a follow-up movie, and honestly, they're pretty well received. They were very direct adaptations of Sherlock Holmes, which was really cool.
Lord Blackwood.
The witness stated that he saw Lord Blackwood rise from the grave.
Gonna raise a force that will alter the course of the world.
He's just as brilliant as you are, and infinitely more devious.
We'll see about that.
And not something that we had seen from a Sherlock Holmes adaptation in a while, because the BBC Sherlock Holmes takes place in present day, and then other shows like Elementary do their own thing differently. But this one was kind of staying true to the time that the books were written in, and they were really great movies, and I remember really enjoying them, and just kind of how they brought that era back to life and kind of showed a Sherlock Holmes that makes sense and exists in the time that the character was written in originally. So we're excited to see this kind of great actor return to this character, especially because it's been so long. A lot of people never thought a third movie would ever happen, and we're excited to see what they do with it, whether they're going to make it follow kind of the whole Moriarty story that was very popular in the Sherlock Holmes, where in the books, actually, the character dies and is gone for 10 years and then finally comes back. That'd be a really cool perspective to see in a third Sherlock Holmes movie, or maybe they're gonna just pick it up and act like nothing happened. Who knows? But either way, it's one that we're looking forward to and we're excited to check out for sure. And then finally, another movie that's still in pre-production. It's an untitled movie on John Brinkley. It's supposed to be a biopic, and this will be really interesting as Robert Downey Jr. is casted to play this character, who essentially is a doctor who kind of scammed his way into making a ton of money and becoming famous, even though he really didn't have any legitimate degrees or qualifications to be a doctor. And he practiced a ton of fake medicine. He was involved in radio broadcasts, and it's a really big controversy that was a true story that actually happened. Honestly, if you don't know much about John Brinkley, as not a lot of people do, you should just read through his Wikipedia page. It's crazy. It is wild, some of the things that happened. He eventually runs for governor of Kansas, and just a ton of other things and lies and cons that he was involved with catch up to him, and it's really just an interesting story. It's definitely worth the read, and seeing a movie translation of this would be amazing, especially with Robert Downey Jr. being such a great actor kind of at the forefront of this film. We really don't know where or when it's going to come out, but chances are if it's Robert Downey Jr., we'll probably know that it's coming up whenever we get more information about that, or even when they start shooting the film. But honestly, that's about it for Robert Downey Jr. While Endgame was a huge success, he's ready to move on to some other things, and he has these 4 movies lined up, and there's probably more offers being put on the table now more than ever, just because this actor is finally freed up to be in other things. It's really amazing to see the turn that Robert Downey Jr. did when he started in the MCU, and just really turned his career around and turned it into something bigger than anything he could have probably ever imagined. And honestly, he deserves all the credit he's gotten and all the work that he gets now, because his acting ability is A+, and he developed one of the biggest things with the MCU and literally led the way for a ton of these shows to even exist in the first place. So because of that, we really appreciate it. We're looking forward to the future of the MCU. But let us know what you think. Which movie are you the most excited for? Personally, the Dr. Doolittle one caught me off guard, but it's such an interesting idea. We can't wait to see what it actually turns out to be. But let us know in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe with notifications on for more videos like this. We'll see you all next time with a brand new video.
I'm about to.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody. How you doing?
Hi.
See you guys.